G'day everyone, I'm Outback and today I'm here with
Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Jared.
and Jared, what did you do today?
So I got top four at a Alaska regional.
What did you play?
I played FLUFFALs.
Alright, let's get into the deck profile.
All right, sweet. So first off, I started by playing three FLUFFAL Penguin. This card's arguably the best card in the deck. It does a million different things, and it is not once per turn at all. So the first thing it does is that you can special summon a FLUFFAL from your name. Sorry, from your hand, besides itself. And when it's used for a fusion material, you can draw two cards and discard one. And what you're summoning off of FLUFFAL Penguin is usually Dolphin. Dolphin lets you recycle a toy vendor from your graveyard, put it back in the spell trap zone, then send from deck a Edge Imp Sabers or FLUFFAL name. And these two monsters allow you to go into Bahamut Shark, which then allow you to go into Toad on 4 or 5 summons, so it allows you to be hand trap free. Next, you play FLUFFAL Dog. It's the Stratus of the deck. Um, a FLUFFAL Sheep. This card lets you special summon itself if you control a FLUFFAL monster. And then you can bounce the FLUFFAL name to hand to special summon a Edge Imp monster from your hand or graveyard. Next, to FLUFFAL Bear. This card sets your toy vendor from deck to field, and then you contribute from the field to the graveyard to get a polymerization back from your graveyard to your hand, but that effect rarely comes up. What you want to use with FLUFFAL Bear is your FLUFFAL Wings. This card is arguably the next
Yeah,
best,
yeah.
the second best card in your deck. It allows you to draw two cards essentially if you have Toy Vendor on your field, and then once you pop that Toy Vendor and send it to the graveyard, you can search. So on its own, you get 3 new cards, which is just absolutely insane. So that's the FLUFFAL lineup right there.
What did you think of the
Um,
ratios today? I think you're the first person to play one dog, or like at least the first person to top with playing one dog. So did the second one ever come up?
uh, no, not at all. Because honestly, the way I built the deck is that if you start by normal summoning dog, then your plays aren't going to be as well as if you start by fusion summoning with penguin and chain. Or you what I wanted
Hmm.
to see every hand was penguin. And so there's other cards in the deck that I'll show later that search out penguin through multiple different ways. And so if I wasn't summoning penguin or fusion summoning as my first action, then I'm not playing the deck right.
Yeah,
That's at
okay.
least how I built the deck.
Makes sense, makes sense.
So I played 9 FLUFFAL names in total.
Hmm.
Next, for the Edge Imps, I played 3 Edge Imp Chain and 1 Edge Imp Sabers. These you have to see these cards in order to play. It's essentially 2 engines. For some reason, they made this deck to not have Edge Imp Chain searchable. I don't know why. You can only search Edge Imp Chain through the engine, um, but you have to be able to see Edge Imp Chain in order to play the game.
Hmm.
Weird, but yeah, pretty standard. I'm not playing the Edge Imp Scythe because that card I don't like it as much anymore with Artifact Scythe gone because essentially the payoff is not as good, and it's honestly a brick in your hand as it does nothing unless you have the payoff of Artifact Scythe.
Jeez, we love these fluffle hot takes. Keep them coming. This is like amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Next, I'm playing the Horus Engine.
Wow. Okay.
Uh,
Yep.
these cards were great, honestly. I wanted to discard a lot of cards from hand for through Toy Vendor, Edge Imp Chain. Edge Imp Sabers is one, but ideally you're discarding Toy Vendor, Edge Imp Chain. This card is also very good in this deck because it baits Ash. A key point chokehold of this deck is if you get your Patchwork Ashed and you have no fusion access.
Hmm.
That really hurts. So this starting off with this, especially if you discard Edge Imp Chain or Toy Vendor and they Ash it, you literally don't care. They just -1 and it's okay because you're searching and you'll eventually draw into King's Arc through your combo by the amount of times you're drawing,
Oh
and you could
wow.
summon M City for free.
Did
So
did
to go
Happy ever
along,
come up? Did Happy ever come up? Like the
uh,
second name?
no, I started by playing Happy in the deck, but after testing multiple times, Happy just was a brick, and this deck already suffers from
Mm.
consistency issues. So reducing the bricks in the deck definitely was ideal. Someone did bring up the point of playing Happy to go into Zombie Vampire to mill, 4 or
Yeah.
5 cards from your deck. That does actually seem pretty decent if you can mill like Toy Vendor and other things to get your play started.
Mm.
But from what I was playing, I just wanted to play as consistent as possible.
Yeah, fair, fair, fair. Vampire's very high roll, and we don't really need more of that in Fluffle.
Exactly. And to go along with the engine, I was also playing a Magician's Souls. The idea with this is that if I see it, I see it. But if I don't, then it's okay because you don't need this card to get to your end board.
Mm.
But the big part of this card is that it's an extender that can send Imseti. And like I said, you already draw so much in this deck. If you draw a King Sark, then you're fine. You get Imseti for free. But this card also combos very well with your, Fluffle Bear or Toy Vendor. So you do plus a lot in this deck.
Yeah, well, makes sense.
Next, talking about extenders, we're playing the best Fluffle name that's not a Fluffle name. So, Golden Lord is essentially this, and Fluffle Bear or Toy Vendor is such a great combo, if you will. It sends Toy Vendor from hand to grave, pop any problem card on the field, or if you mill it and it's in the graveyard, you can send Toy Vendor from field to the graveyard and summon it. It works so well in this deck. I like it as a one of just in case I go second to out any problem cards I might have. Helps a little bit with the grind game, get damage out. It's really just a great utility card.
Mm. Did you see it all today?
I saw it. Yeah, actually, I did. Saw it against Flu. I just popped their map with it.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, yeah. The one.
Yeah, going second into that board, and that was about it. But it was. I mean, it was good. Can't complain.
Yeah, fair, fair.
The next engine we're playing Shavara and Escape.
Oh.
So these cards are honestly great. Shavara, along with the Golden Lord, helps you pop Toy Vendor. That's kind of the theme of the deck right now. We're searching for ways to pop Toy Vendor. So this, you add it off of Yama from the extra deck, and then you could pop your own Toy Vendor to go into Rage. And obviously, when Shavara is sent to the graveyard, you can set Escape. And this on its own, this engine allows you to put up 4 interruptions on your opponent's turn. So if that's all you have, it's still enough to survive until the next turn.
Hmm.
Next, I'm playing 3 Foolish Burial, which sends 3 Toy Vendor from your deck to the grave. So this is arguably, the third best deck, best card in the deck. I know I've said it a lot now, but every card in this deck is crazy.
True.
Toy Vendor, like I said earlier, doesn't search Edge Unchained, but it searches any other card in your deck that's a Fluffle or Edge Sabers. So it's best card. It's what this deck's all about. It's why I still play this deck. Not once per turn at all. Neither effect is, so you just got to loop it as many times as you can.
Did you ever hit anything off Fender today?
I think I hit a penguin, which is just the best.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just I was just really skilled at hitting penguin.
Very skilled at hitting penguin. Oh man,
it does come up. Next, talking about penguin, I do play 2 Royal Penguin Gardens.
What is this card?
So when this card is activated, you can add a penguin monster from your deck to your hand, or sorry, a penguin card. So it could be anything.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Fluffle Penguin is, it's Fluffle Penguin. So
It's searchable. Oh my god.
And as I said before, I made this deck to be the way, if I'm not starting by seeing Penguin in my hand, then I'm doing it wrong. That is why I play this card. And it also has a secondary effect where you can reduce the level of a Penguin monster in your hand or face-up field by 1, and then you discard a card. That effect actually comes up quite a lot because you can discard another Toy Vendor. You can discard Edge Chain to get you fusion access when you have no other discard outlets. One thing about this, the second effect, I did get it Ghost Ogred a few times. It's honestly not the worst because I'd rather this get Ghost Ogred than my Soul of Rage on the board as my end board. So I don't mind this baiting out a Ogre because there's better things for them to hit, but this card was great. Can't complain. Next, I'm playing 3 Fright for Patchwork and 2 Poly. Nothing much to say about this. 3 Poly's too much. 1's too little because you're milling in this deck. If you mill 1, then it's not good. 2's just right. Shout out Despia, Branded. Y'all had me sweating about a year or 2 ago when you guys almost got this card limited.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah, not much to say about it.
Card is
You
good.
have to sit. Yep. Next, I'm playing this.
Repair.
Okay, the next best card in the deck is Fright for Repair. This card is a monster reborn for the archetype. So you target a Fright for card in your graveyard and you return it to the extra deck. Then you can special summon a FLUFFAL monster or Edgimp monster from your graveyard. So what you can do is you can normal summon Penguin at bait and Imperm Veiler. Then you go fusion into Crewell. Crewell dumps another fusion monster from your extra deck, a Fright for monster. You activate Repair, send targeting the fusion monster in the graveyard to put it back in the extra deck. Summon back the Penguin, and you can use Penguin's effect again. So this
Crazy.
card, I baited out so many interruptions, going first, going second. And then once in the graveyard, you can banish it to special a Fluffle or Edgent from your hand. So it's all around such a good card. I recommend this. Next, playing two Tactics and a Called By. This deck hard loses to Droll and Shifter.
Mhm.
Not much to say about Called By, so you just got to play it. Talents was honestly pretty good. I liked it in this horse build because if your Mseti gets ashed, then which a lot of times it was,
Yeah.
your Talents is live, and in this deck especially, it's a two-card combo deck essentially, and every card in the deck reacts differently to a different card.
Mm.
So if you go Talents to draw two, which I know is not ideal over looking at their hand, but there's some situations where you have to. Every card in your hand is going to react so much differently to the two cards that you draw that you're just going to open up so many different combo lines just by drawing two random cards. So I'm a big fan of how this card performed. I actually came up once. I had this in my hand. I got ashed, and I needed to push further. I drew two new cards, and I full comboed. It
Oh,
was
I love
just
to hear it.
insane. So,
Yeah.
and lastly, I played three Forbidden Droplet. It's insane in this deck as well because it's honestly engine going second for your discarding, and going first just adds to your end board to play around anything you may need.
Exactly. How many cards in the main deck?
I played 42.
42. Okay, yep.
I
All right.
played there's a few bricks in there that
Makes
I wanted
sense.
to not
Yeah.
draw, so I just played a higher deck count. So that was my reasoning.
Mm. Makes sense. And you got the Penguin's Garden as well to search Penguin more consistently.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Moving on to the extra deck. There's some pretty cool stuff in here.
Yeah, so for the extra deck, I played a Fright for Coolwell and a Fright for Tiger for my two Fright for Fusion monsters. These, I'll explain Cruel. Cruel basically, when it's fusion summoned, you can destroy a card on each side of the field non-targeting. So it baits out any imperm on their field or anything because if they don't react to it, I just get to pop anything on their field for
Mm.
free. And this is the one I was referring to with the Fright for Repair, where you can target another fusion monster on the field. Um, it can be itself as well, and it gains half its own attack by dumping a Fright for card from deck or extra deck to the graveyard. So usually you're dumping Tiger, and Tiger can pop cards on the field up to the number of fusion materials used for its fusion summon. So this
Yeah.
card can, against heavy back row decks in the past, Eldritch or whatever it is, this card can pop the whole back row if you'd like. It's a good card, comes up, but usually your turn one you're going Cruel for combo.
What did you think of only playing two Fright for fusions? Because I'm not expecting all the viewers to be sort of caught up with the like Fluffal lore, but I think this is like one of the first times that two fusions have ever been considered. Normally we play three or four.
Yeah, usually it's a higher amount. In this build, I definitely wanted other options in the extra deck, and especially for Fluffle, the extra deck, you need the extra deck to be like 20 cards
Mm.
because there's so many good options. So I chose to cut down on the fusions because I felt like that was probably the best route over anything else. But the, this was fine. I never wanted another one. I would say if you're playing Edgimp Scythe, I would play another Cruel because you need one to summon on their turn. But I never was in a situation that I was like, man, I'm missing it. And the reason for that was because I played a Guardian Chimera as well. This allowed me on turn three to follow up with any monsters that I had. Because Fright for Tiger has a restriction where you can only use Edgimp Sabers for some reason.
Mm.
So that kind of locks you out if that's Tiger's all you have in your extra deck and you only have access to Edgimp Chain. So you're forced to summon Guardian Chimera, which came up actually in the tournament, and it was great. So that's the reason Guardian Chimera kind of fixes the issue of not needing to run another.
Yeah, makes sense.
Next, I played Bahamut, Shark, and Toad. I went over this with Penguin and Dolphin. Summon 4 is Bahamut Shark, or sorry, Summon 4 is Toad. Summon 5 will be Toad if you need to summon out a Golden Lord, or if your first summon is your fusion monster. Um, but you have, I mean, you don't have to play it, but I really recommend it in this deck. It makes your combo nib free. If you get hand trapped, you can stop it with Toad. And now that Baron and Savage are gone, this deck is, I guess, one of the few decks that can put up an Omni. So Toad's just a great card.
Yeah, makes sense.
And Toad can also add back Penguin and Dolphin from the graveyard when you
Crazy.
use it.
The follow-up's
Correct. So
crazy.
it's great follow up. The last Xyz I play is Baguska. This is part of the end board actually. It's a great card. Can't really say too much about it, but I thought it comes up in a lot of matchups that you need help with. Despia, Flu. So
Makes sense, yeah.
for links, I play Cross Sheep. Fusion deck, part of the combo. It comes up.
This card
Next,
is so good.
I'm playing Yama and Soul of Rage. So Yama adds a Shavara from deck to hand, and then you use either the Shavara or the Yama to go into Rage. And you're summoning the Yama with one of the fusion monsters and Edgent monster from your basically from your deck, or a Shavara. So it's very easy to go into in this deck. Like I said, Rage and Escape on the field is 4 interruptions on its own. So plus follow up if you have Toad. So it's just crazy. And off of Rage, I'm going into SP Little Knight. It's a great card. Can't say much about it. I'm playing IP in this deck with the Horus monster with Mseti. There's a few times where you can you set up IP and Mseti. It applies a little bit more pressure. There's some times where you sort of brick and you have to go for a lower end board. So I chose IP. I played Nightmare Phoenix. I wasn't playing this at first, but through testing, I found out that to go into Yama, I did need to bridge 2 non-fiend monsters into a fiend. So that my fiend of choice was Nightmare Phoenix. And it came up actually. It also comes up if you go end on IP, because in some matchups you don't want to SP Little Knight. You'd rather go into Phoenix. Shout out Flu. That actually happens. Pop the map and everything. Yeah. But Phoenix, good card. I'd play it. Next, I'm playing Celine because I play Magician Souls and Mseti. There's a cool line. Turn 3, you can go if you make your board. Is you go SP Little Knight and Mseti into Celine. Celine bringing back Mseti, and then Celine and Mseti into Access Code for 4 summons. Adds another attribute to the graveyard for Access Code. Access Code, great card. And lastly, I play Appaloosa. Good card, also probably going to get hit, but it's part of the end board.
Yeah, fair.
And then for the side deck, real quick, I played 3 Droll. I thought it was going to be a more rogue at the event, so I thought Droll would cover a lot. This card was horrible, though.
Oh, no.
Definitely wouldn't play it again, but I was scared of rogue matchups. Next, I'm playing 3 Ash. I did not want to get puppet locked.
Yeah,
I was really scared of that. So that's mainly what this was in for, and I had a crisis trying to figure out what to side in against shifter decks. And so this kind of was my answer. I know Droll doesn't work under shifter, but it's just like if I draw it, they can't play. If they draw shifter, I can't play. Yeah. So it's kind of a trade-off. Whoever draws their ace card wins. To go along with Ash Blossom, I played 2 Bestials. I didn't want to get puppet locked again, so I made sure that I was playing cards to not get puppet locked. Didn't side these in much, but in theory, it came up.
Yeah.
3 evenly matched. I chose this over Lightning Storm and Harpies because I felt like this was a little bit better into Snake Eyes. It can force out the IP and just kind of neutralize the board because this deck has a ton of gas that I can play through one interruption very easily going second. Um, so I thought, especially against back row decks, if it was expecting Rogue at the event, I thought this was a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I did end up against Snake Eyes. I did end up baiting and evenly. I didn't sight this in, and I told myself I should have. So I drew 6 engine cards in my hand, and I said battle phase, and he thought I had evenly when I didn't, and he just used IP and used all of his monsters into Appaloosa. So
Comes up.
or
Yeah.
into, and then the last few cards, D-Bear card's great. Not much to say about that. And then I sided an Abyss Dweller. There's a
Nice.
few decks I was scared of. And also the big reasoning about Abyss Dweller in the side is because the main end board I was going for was an Appaloosa, Soul of Rage, and Toad.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, and there would be a Baguska on it as well. So this is the main end board with you have a set escape of the Unchained, so you pop the Rage on their turn. So with this board, your Toad is turned off game one. I'd go for this every game one I could. And this nothing really beats this board because it's layered on how they have to interrupt. But the issue is going into game 2 and game 3, you play into board breakers.
Yeah.
Because Toad is negated. So instead of going for this board turn game 2 and game 3, I would replace the Baguska with a Dweller if I knew they weren't on Super Poly, because this plays more into Super Poly. But this allows my Omni Negate of Toad to be turned online. So that's essentially the thinking of siding the Dweller as well.
Did Dweller come up?
I did put it in against Fire King, but no, I never summoned it.
Okay.
So it's not needed, but essentially the idea was, game 2 and game 3, I wanted something better to summon. And if I wasn't summoning Dweller on this end board, game 2 and game 3, I would just make a format Appaloosa with these 2 other cards as well.
Yeah. Right, makes sense. Do you want to quickly show off like the Shavara combo, like the Unchained,
Yeah.
unfluffed combos?
So with the Unchained cards, the best thing about them that they offer is that you can go poly, and you can summon your Crew Whale using an Edge Up and a Fluffle. What you can do here is, let's just say, you can use Chains effect, but let's say you already have access to, well, Sabers. Say I use Sabers instead, so those two, sorry. And you have a random card in hand. So what you can do is you can summon back Sabers by using its effect to stack back to the top of the deck. Since you have 2 Fiends on the field now, you can use both of these for Yama. Yama's going to search your deck. Sorry about that. Search your deck for Shavara. And what you can do here is you can get a way to get Toy Vendor on your field by Dolphin, Bear. There's many ways to set it back to your field. So you can use Shavara's effect, popping the set Toy Vendor, which then allows you to search any card you would like, any FLUFFAL name. So you have another card, and then you can use these 2 into Rage. And then Rage, Shavara is going to set you the trap. And what this does right here is this board sets you 4 interruptions on its own, because plus follow-up, because you go escape on their turn, target Rage and their monster to pop both. And then you get Rage and Yama. Yama banish itself to summon back Rage. Rage is going to add you back an Edge or a Fiend monster. And then you can go Rage on their turn into SP. SP banish a monster, and then SP banish another monster for its effect. So on its own, it's 4 interruptions plus follow-up. Again, if this was Edge Up Chain, it would be more follow-up, because Edge Up Chain can get you into Fright for Patchwork plus a poly, and which gives you another Edge Up monster. So
Yeah, okay. it's a really sick way of getting Toy Vendor into Graveyard with Shivara. Very, very cool. Uh, any shout outs before we end the video?
Yeah, shout out to everyone in Alaska. Shout out to the Necrofusion enthusiasts.
Let's go!
Yeah, if you know, this card is great. We're always using Necrofusion to summon Fright for Tiger. And that's really about it. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks everyone for watching. Take care.